As students head into the new school year, thousands of Australian children are at risk of missing out on the essentials. A new survey by the Smith family has revealed that nearly 90% of families are worried about being able to afford school items like uniforms, laptops and even internet access. Joining me now is the charity CEO, Doug Taylor. Hey there, Doug, thanks for coming on the show. So what do these figures say about the cost of living crisis?
They tell us that it's a pressing concern for low-income families in Australia. Many families are thinking about the new school year and supporting their children in being set up for a great education this year. But for low-income families, they're particularly concerned about their ability to afford education essentials that many of us would just take for granted. So new school shoes, a uniform, or being able to fund excursions over the course of the year. Now, these things are essential for a great education, but they're also really important for a young person feeling as though they're a part of a school community, so they can really make the most of this great educational opportunities that young Australians have.
So let's take everyone through the stakeholders in this dilemma. What should the society do? What should there be more education funding, for example?
Yeah, so look, obviously there's a range of possibilities and options. We know that in recent weeks there's certainly been indications from the Treasurer and the Prime Minister about cost of living relief with housing and energy costs. They're important measures, and our advice would be to target those to those most in need to have the biggest benefit. Equally, we're having a conversation over the last month really about the future of education in Australia with the National School Reform Agreement. And there's a great increasing focus on equity in those conversations with the Commonwealth and the states. We welcome that at the Smith family. One of the important measures in those conversations is looking at really implementing the Gonski reforms of over 10 years ago now. So ensuring that public education, which supports 80% of disadvantaged students in Australia, really gets the funding that they need to provide the holistic support for young people who often face many challenges. One of the big challenges we've got in education today in Australia, particularly for disadvantaged students, is disadvantaged student by the age of 15 can be 4 to 5 years behind their peers in literacy and numeracy. Now, that can often relate to not being able to afford these educational essentials. And one of those is a digitally connected laptop. That's a necessary part of a contemporary education, and they're often out of reach for many families. In fact, half of the families that we survey,
and how is
that's a challenge.
And Doug, how is that translating into extra pressures and also initiatives for charities and NGOs such as yourself?
Yeah, so look, many charities across Australia are stepping up to respond to the cost of living challenge for low-income families, which is tremendous in terms of food programs, no-interest loans programs. There are certainly supports out there. For us at the Smith family, we're just launching our back-to-school appeal. We're looking for 6,700 new sponsors to make a monthly commitment to supporting young Australians in need. We work with over 62,000 students across Australia who experience disadvantage by providing those educational essentials, parent support and learning and mentoring programs. So it's a wonderful opportunity to make a difference in supporting a child with their education.
And speaking to parents, especially from low-income families, what are they saying about having to go without, having to make sacrifices for their school, for their kids' education?
What they say is that they're faced with impossible choices. Obviously, inflation has increased the cost of everyday items, grocery, petrol, and education things. So parents have to make really tough choices as to how to use their limited funds. I was talking to a parent in Brisbane recently who has 4 children, a great mum, wants the best for her family. Her rent has doubled, now $600 a week, and she's on a low income, and she's worried about being able to afford a laptop for her son who's starting high school. So they're the tough choices that many families really have to make at this time of year, and we're really encouraging Australians to support our campaign to make a difference for young people in need.
Thanks for that great work that you're doing. Doug Taylor for us from the Smith family.